Heard exclusively on TuneIn. You're watching us on the Big 12 Fast Channel, Big 12 Studios. Our next guest is in the Iowa Girls Basketball Hall of Fame. She was an All-American at Iowa State, played in the WNBA, and we welcome in Ann O'Neill. Good morning, Ann.
Hey, good morning. So awesome to be here with you guys.
Does work for ESPN, a consultant, a coach, and does it all, and we are super thrilled to have you on the show. So the Big 12 on the women's side is really interesting because you had the two teams that were at the top that both took losses over the weekend, with Baylor falling to West Virginia, TCU losing a heartbreaker on the road at Texas Tech. So who's the best team in the Big 12 in your eyes?
Oh my gosh, you're going to put me right on the spot? My first time being on? My goodness.
Fastball's out of the gate.
Hey, it's actually like a super hard question to answer because at the beginning of the season, one of the things we talked about so often was the parity in this league, and that night in and night out, if you play 40 minutes, anyone can win. And we just saw that this weekend. So I'm not going to give you an answer quite yet because I think it's about the strategies, who's executing, and who shows up for those full 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Big 12 and as a whole, I guess what stands out to you, certainly there's good teams at the top, but not necessarily in terms of the top of women's college basketball.
Yeah, I would say what you guys just mentioned is just how, 1 through 16, anyone can show up. And I've worked some in the SEC and the ACC and watched other teams perform. But here in the Big 12, it's like it is a game night. It needs to be that all-state highlighted game every single game that you show up. And I know after talking to coaches, listening to their press conferences, they don't really celebrate. You have those 10 minutes to celebrate in the locker room afterwards, and then you're immediately moving on to the next scout because somebody is going to be ready to come into your house or on the road and be ready to take you down. So I've just really enjoyed watching this season and seeing the strategies play out, the big time gamer performances, and that you come into a game and you just don't know who's actually going to win it.
And what's your take on your Iowa State Cyclones? They've won 4 in a row, and they had a little bit of a slide, and now they're hot again. And we love Bill Finley, just that team and their DNA with Crooks in the middle and Brown when she's healthy is phenomenal. So what's their ceiling?
Yeah, I right there, I think they've really had to pivot and adjust because Addie Brown is one of the best forwards and versatile players in the entire nation, not just in the Big 12 Conference, but across the board. She can play that 1 through 5 position. She knows how to bring the ball up the floor. She is an excellent passer and then obviously can score buckets. I mean, she already had a triple-double in her career so far, and she was really able to pull the defense away from Audie Crooks, and that was a key centerpiece. So her being out with this back injury is a big deal for Iowa State, but they've had to adjust. They lost those 5 games in a row, and now they have their 4-game winning streak. Another big piece was Ariana Jackson being out for a couple of those games, and Coach Bill Finley on the USF game just over the weekend said she basically won the game for us, her being in. I think she had 18 points. But what she does is she brings energy, she brings juice, and she also is a floor spacer because she can hit so many 3-point shots. She also has kind of this calm presence that is really working well with Jada Williams in the backcourt. So Jackson being back has really helped Iowa State out. They're still looking for Brown, and hopefully she can come back at some point. But that's what happens in the middle of seasons. There's injuries, and you have to adjust. And, playing for Coach Bill Finley, there's literally no one better in women's basketball that knows how to put players in positions to succeed. And then also on the flip side, the strategic idea against any single team. There always will be a game plan, and then he's also willing to adjust in the middle of the game, in the flow of the game, and trying to find a hot shooter or shut down a hot shooter. So I think they've really kind of understood their roles a little bit more in this new team dynamic, and we've got a lot still left to see from the Cyclones for sure.
Who is the best team in the Big 12 right now?
Oh, man. Okay, so just a day ago, I would have said Baylor because they were on that 8-game winning streak. But West Virginia, my goodness, their toughness that they showed in that game over Baylor that was on national television, it was impressive, especially on the defensive end. They turned Baylor over 30 times, which was a Big 12 record, the first time in 25 years in a Big 12 conference game. And they had 70 to 47 shot increases in shots. So they won the possession battle. And I was just really impressed with how they bounced back from that loss to Utah and then performed against Baylor, really trying to shut down and disrupt their entire offense. Baylor just couldn't get in the flow. So I'm only going to give one game at a time, so I'll have to keep coming back for every single game. But right now, I would say West Virginia is one of the toughest teams to beat, because when they play for 40 minutes, when they focus on their defense, which they're known for, I've called them Stress Virginia just recently in a video, because you're going to be stressed out trying to run offense against them, and that's what happened to the Baylor Bears. So yes, I'm going to say West Virginia right now, since TCU and Baylor did both get handed a loss. I mean, you just have to give credit to West Virginia and also Texas Tech for huge games, showing up, and they really played great basketball for 40 minutes.
Love it, and Stress Virginia. That's
well,
amazing.
You guys know the men's teams that they
Press.
used to call Press
Virginia.
Virginia.
Oh,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Javon Carter,
Yeah,
Miles.
so I call them Stress Virginia because you have to be ready to handle the ball and get your offense in a flow. And when West Virginia is clicking on all cylinders defensively, you got Jordan Harrison, who's a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. She had 5 steals in that game. I mean, it's somebody I wouldn't want to try to dribble against. And then you have Gia Cook. I mean, just across the board, they rotate really well. They're communicating. So yes, you're going to be stressed out trying to run offense against them. And that showed up literally in that entire game for Baylor. They just really couldn't find their rhythm.
West Virginia's 18-5. They are 8-3 in Big 12 play, and they have the most wins over top 25 opponents in the league. They're 3-2 against the top 25. You mentioned Texas Tech. They're 21-3 after that really hot start. You know, they're still, even with a few losses, towards the top of the conference with an 8-3 mark. Like, have they played enough high-quality opponents now to really identify them as being a very legit basketball team?
Definitely, and this weekend really proved that, because TCU was almost untouchable, you know, the way that they move. But Texas Tech, one of the things they came out was they played consistent for 40 minutes. And there's a couple of stats I want to highlight from that game. So TCU averages around 80 points per game. That's why we love watching them, because they fill it up. But Texas Tech also took them out of the rhythm. They held them to 60 points, so 20 points below their average. And another thing about Tech that really stood out to me is they actually had 2 of their best shooters, Bristow and Maupin, went 2 for 22 offensively in the game. It was almost uncharacteristic for their guard play. But their bench came in, Snetta Collins came in, 28 points, tied a career high, but their bench had 40 points in that game. And so they came in offensively and still executed, but it was their defense that was extremely disruptive as well, because it was a 62-60 victory for Texas Tech. And Coach Gerlich, after the game, really talked about their consistency, how they executed off of watching game film. And hey, you got to credit Lady Raider Nation. They showed up big time too. They had 6,200 fans at that game. So all around, the 2 games over the weekend, these 2 main games, they were 2 of the best women's college basketball games I've watched in the entire season so far.
Wow. How many tournament teams, Ann, do you think there are in the Big 12 right now?
Oh, I mean, I think could be 8, 9, 10, and
Wow.
this is the key right now is what happens in February. How do you move forward and gain momentum going into the Big 12 conference tournament, and really seeing what the selection committee can look at. And Charlie Cream, he comes out with his bracket almost every other day after games come out. And so there's always movement. There's always room to bump up. If you get on a 3-game winning streak, so you look at Colorado right now, 3-game winning streak, and they're a tough defensive team, also hard to go out there and play at Colorado. So you just have the rhythm and the momentum. You can execute in February. I believe they can get anywhere from 8 to 10 teams from the Big 12.
Talking with Ann O'Neill, a former All-American at Iowa State, TV analyst for ESPN, played in the WNBA, but also, Ann, and maybe this is side chat stuff, but I love neuroscience. I am fascinated by it. I pulled up a podcast that you were a guest on and talked about your research and your training in neuroscience and performance psychology fields. What can you share with us, just kind of big picture, about some of your research and things that you do in that field?
Oh my gosh, how cool. We're going to take a little road trip. I really appreciate that kind of question. I'll still actually equate it back to basketball. So everyone that's a big hooper that's wanting to listen. So the reason is you even heard Snetta Collins when she had those 28 points for Texas Tech say, I was just in a flow state. And that's really kind of one of the areas I wanted to study in neuroscience, how you don't think about what you're doing, but you're just out there being a great basketball player. You know, the Michael Jordan flu game, you know, the 60 some points that he had, that's the kind of stuff that I love studying. And just a little stat on my particular career. I was a freshman at Illinois in the Big Ten. I made 4 3-pointers in 33 games, and I was a pretty good shooter before I got there. But I just had one of those kind of mental handicaps that my upper body and lower body couldn't get in the rhythm of shooting 3-pointers. They kind of wanted to turn me more into a set shooter, and I was a jump shooter. But by the time I got to Iowa State, I still kind of like heaved it from my hip, and it was okay, but it wasn't great. And then before my senior year, I went underneath the rim. I grabbed the basketball, and I said, I'm going to figure out this 3-point shot. So I went underneath the rim, and I shot underneath like 2 feet away, all one-handed. So I had the ball here and I shot it one-handed. And then I kept moving back until I did it to the free throw line and 3-point line. And all of a sudden, in a moment, after 4 years, in a moment, I was able to correct that 3-point shot and completely got into the exact shooting rhythm. So much so, I think I averaged like maybe 49% from 3. Wow. The cool thing was I made it into the ESPN 3-point shooting contest. So my senior year. So because of my own personal experience, coaching players, seeing them go through adversities. That's really why I wanted to study neuroscience on how you can train your brain to be in the future and be in that flow state. And that's when you see players that come out and just have those big games, those explosive games where everything clicks for them as a player and then also as a team. Everyone just knows where the play is going to be. Like I think of Olivia Miles. She's clairvoyant, right? She sees the plays before the plays even happen because she's thinking in the future. I know where that player is going to be on that fast break. And so that's the kind of neuroscience that I love studying. I've traveled over like 60 countries and studied with, you know, people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's big known in neuroscience space, and Jesse Itzler, mindset guy. So I just absolutely love it. I'm always trying to add more, like how I can be good on, you know, this show today and teach somebody something new. So I appreciate the question. It's a big part of my life besides just TV work and basketball work.
Oh, man, that is so cool. I'm fascinated by it. Love the insight. I mean, you fixed your own shot and have carried that knowledge to others in so many teachable ways. So that's awesome. And man, Ann, we appreciate your time. Great having you on, and hopefully we can connect again soon.
Hey, can't wait. Thanks so much for having me on. I am thrilled to be a part of the Big 12, man. This is just great basketball every single week. So thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Ann.
Well said. Ann O'Neill, Iowa Girls Basketball Hall of Fame, to Iowa State, was an All-American, played in the WNBA on ESPN broadcasts, breaking down Big 12 women's basketball here on Big 12 Today, heard exclusively on TuneIn. Watched on Big 12 Studios. Coming up next, it's Transfer Portal Tracker season. We dive into BYU. We've got Mitch Harper coming up here in about 20 minutes from KSL Sports to give his insights on the offseason that is for the Cougars. That's next hour here on Big 12 Today. Coming up after the break, we are powered by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on the Big 12 Fast Channel.